Good morning. Happy Saturday. What a beautiful day to be alive. I'm so excited today. Um, it's just an amazing experience. Every day is. Yesterday, I woke up with a sense of emptiness. It was really quite curious, and with that, I had a lot of reflection. I published a couple poems on my pages to illustrate my experience, and I went through many things. One of the things that I chose, and I did this with a conscious choosing, absolutely. I quit drinking 3 years ago, but in my feeling of emptiness yesterday, I had this idea, and so I followed through on it. It was something instinctual, I trust. I bought a pint of brandy. And I went ahead and had several shots along with my coffee, and I started feeling an experience of transit, and it was really healthy. It was a healthy choice, and I recognized that. And things just started to unfold and present themselves in amazing ways. I had a meeting yesterday with my publisher, my coordinator, and I had many questions regarding my submission forms that I was really unclear of. I'm not much of a administrator, but they were confusing to me, and I needed some clarity before I replied. And so she lovingly spent a good 45 minutes with me, and with that, everything became perfectly clear, and I have chosen my book size, and I've made a lot of decisions that will make it all work for me. And regarding comments and furthering donations towards the book, all these things I can submit as I go along. It doesn't have to be inclusive at this point until we get to final approvals. So that was good news. And then I launched off after that into my afternoon walk, and within moments I got a phone call. The owner of the property, Rick, indicated to me that he was going to come up and pick up his vehicle that's up here that Daniel brought up. And so I responded to his text and just told him I'd like to have a conversation when he had the chance. And so he called me, which I appreciated. And his mother had a heart attack. She was in the hospital, which was, I sent him my deepest love and healing light energy, and apparently she's going to be okay. She's being released today by what he told me. But what we had a conversation about regarded my vision, which I made a video about the other day on the Orin Oracles, about my vision about tiny houses and hot tubs. And he's in complete support agreement, and we spent a good hour on the phone as I walked, and so it's funny how it works. I had this vision, I have these dreams, and within really literally 24 hours of making that video, all of a sudden it all came around. So, with that, I am in a great appreciation and a deeper understanding of how the power of intent, being focused, remaining calm, and trusting and allowing has its perfect placement. And I'm allowing the cats to be involved this morning since I don't have any guests. And they're such oh man, they're just trippy. This is Baba G, Baba Gado, and she is who she is. Her sister Muji is resting and sleeping at the moment. And another thing that happened yesterday, along with all these processes, is that I received a copy of Brother Sage's book. This one, Inescapable Quotes, and with inescapable art. And I enjoyed it very much. And he has made that offering to anybody who would like a copy of his book. To just contact him, and I think that if you pay for the shipping and handling and whatnot, he will gift you. So I encourage you to consider that. And life is good. As a perfect indicator, even yesterday as I drank brandy and ate pasta and all those things, this morning my beautiful elixir is pure as water. It's totally well, it's not tasteless completely, it's actually sweet. So it was and is an indication that regardless of what you consume, variances always exist. It varies. Cheers. You would think I'd be tasting, all this extremity, but none at all. Funny how it works. And I also, last night, late, I had a conversation with Jordan Blakey, who's going to be my guest on Tuesday. And Jordan is fascinating. Oh man, I am looking so forward to the conversation we're going to have Tuesday. He brings so much knowledge and light to the table. If you don't know who Jordan is, he is the creator and the administrator for Urine Magic. Now, this is a group he started many years ago. Used to have a real long title, uropathy, this, that, the other, I don't know. It had several different identifying monikers. But he recently changed it to Urine Magic, and it's really kind of cool. Why? He's a magician, performing magician. He also has created several groups that have to do with liver cleanse and detox and many, many things. He's really quite he's a piece of work. So I'm really looking forward to having that conversation with him. He really is a delightful human being, and he really brings a lot to the table. And you may have noticed I shaved. I did yesterday. I was missing my face. Honestly, I've never been a beard person, and it just kind of evolved. And so I just kind of was with it and let it grow. And through the bitter cold, it was actually a comfort. Kept my face warm, but the season's changing, and so am I. I'm just happy to have my face back because, I don't know, it feels good. Woolly mammoth thing, just, it has its limits, so I'm glad. And I did it with a real slow diligence. I kind of, clipped it with scissors and then kind of dry shaved it, really. And then I put aged urine, and I just kept with the process. It took me probably a good 45 minutes to actually remove it all. And then I did a final clean shave, and it just felt really good. And I wore my rubber boots and did a foot soak, and I did a full body wash and went and did my laundry, and it was a cleansing day. It was really a important time to take pause and reflect. And well, Michelle, you like the beard. You were calling me Moses. Well, you can call me anything you like. Just don't call me late for dinner. And yeah, so things are just, I actually, honestly, yesterday morning when I woke up with this feeling of emptiness, I can't really pinpoint it. I can't explain it. I did the best I can in reflecting it in a couple of poems that I posted. I had considerations about even doing this broadcast this morning, and so I just let it be. I didn't put a post about it until much later. It was actually in the evening that I finally felt clear to go ahead and do this, because I really enjoyed this. I really appreciate people so much. I've had so much opportunity lately, and yesterday also included a really important video chat with someone I really appreciate, and Christy. She's the young woman I met when I was with Nancy Fox during the WEEDU Wanderers series, and she was working as a front desk clerk. And we engaged and spent a good 45 minutes in conversation before we ever actually booked the room, although we knew we were going to book the room. She was just so present and so enchanting. And she came around the counter and wanted to give me a big hug and took selfies and stuff. It was very endearing. And so she reached out to me yesterday, and we spent a good hour on the phone, which I just appreciate so much. She's just such a dear heart, and she's been diligent with her urine therapy from the day I introduced it to her, which has seemingly further alienated her from even some of the family members that she used to have a little more compassion from. They're now looking at her like, what the fuck happened to you, girl? And so she's feeling, feeling a bit alienated. And I assured her that that's the process that we're all growing through. We are alienated in so many ways. And most people that are doing urine therapy understand that. And as you open your mind, open your heart, heal your body, and become more present, others will find you more strange. And, it's all good. It's totally good. And that's why I created the High Vibe Tribe. I wanted to include people. I wanted to welcome people and allow them to be who they are. It doesn't have to have any rigidity. It's not required. And I respect, I appreciate what other groups are formulated for and what their purpose is. And if it isn't focused on urine therapy or being a vegan or raw fruit or whatever, then they don't really welcome other posts. And I respect that. I understand that. But the High Vibe Tribe was intentionally created to not alienate or eliminate anybody from the process of healing itself. It's all about love. It's all it's about. We're here to embrace each other and love each other with a sense of well-being. And as we discover that within ourselves, we will recognize it in others. It's simply part of the process of growing. That's all it is. And I am grateful. I've been listening to a lot of really different, interesting YouTube videos from people I respect, people that brought a lot to the table over time. And recently I just discovered this guy, Robert Anton Wilson. Never heard of him before. And he's fascinating. And I found him because I listened to Alan Watts and Terence McKenna and many others. And so this person came into my feed. And he said something that I had to write down. I love this. It's an acronym that he came up with. And it says self-hypnotic, ideological trance. Self-hypnotic, ideological trance. Shit. Self-hypnotic, ideological trance. And that is our ego. That's what pushes us. This is what stimulates so much of our conscious presence, is that ego. And if we buy into enough of our own bullshit and believe it, we are really just as full of shit as anybody else's bullshit, and they're full of shit. You know, we have to really find the humor, realize that we're all just in a process. We're all on a path. We're all just doing whatever we're doing, and to pass any kind of judgment on others for their process is really selfish in a way that isn't conducive. It doesn't serve. And I've been all these things. Yeah, you are full of shit, and that's why I love you, Ryan. Anybody who doesn't know Ryan by now, Ryan, he produces a show almost daily at this point, and it's called Lucid Paint, and he shares a technique of amazing spray paint art that he shares on a nightly basis. If you haven't checked out Lucid Paints, I recommend it. He's really a gifted, beautiful human being, and I love him so dearly. He's really quite a character. And so, yeah, thanks for joining us, Ryan, as always, and everyone else here, Jason, Hall, you know, Michelle. I love you all so dearly. I appreciate your time. I realize that everybody has a responsibility and a commitment to their process, whatever that looks like, whether it's themselves, their family, their art, their work, you know, so to take any time out to share time with me is humbling to me. I take it with great gratitude and much respect, so thank you. And life it's a process. And I'm willing to be in the process no matter what. Robert Anthony, no, it's Robert Anton, Anton Wilson. Robert Anton Wilson, yeah, pretty fascinating person. His videos are pretty, his lectures, his concepts. And I appreciate these people for their astute knowledge. They're really, if you listen to Alan Watts and Terence McKenna and these people, what they bring to the table is awareness, awakened state. Now, these were people that were ostracized in their own experience. They were professors, and you know, in the ivory towers of education. But with their evolution, with their experimentation, with their awakened state, using psychedelics as a portal, they brought a lot of experience and knowledge to the experience of living itself, which is profound. And so their message is classic, and that's why it lives. That's why their lectures and their videos are so widely viewed in a big way. And I appreciate them. When I do find the time to actually take time to listen or view other YouTube videos, I prefer these. Their message is clear to me, and it's just knowledge that I appreciate, and in a big way. The biggest important decision I think I ever made was to stop the noise, pulling out of all forms of the exterior, meaning television and sports, news, movies, celebrity, royals, you know, all of these things. They're such a disturbing distraction in my view. They serve no real purpose but to keep us in fear, separated, indifferent, and not feeling the collective, the consciousness, and the love. So I choose to refrain from these things, and I feel awesome as a result of it. I enmeshed myself way too much for a long time. And I actually was watching a video this morning that I found to be one of the most informative videos to date that I have ever watched. And it was produced by Eric DeBay. Now, Eric DeBay has written books and has been a kind of a leader in flat earth understandings, and he created this, it's really recent, it's very new. I went ahead and downloaded it into my files, and it is called the 35 most common questions asked about flat earth in 35 minutes, and it's pretty thorough. It just brings a light and an awareness to you know, an understanding. And I accept that I am on a plane. I accept it. I first went in looking at this information to debunk it. After spending lots of time in research, I recognized that my observation is more accurate than the science that was induced and indoctrinated into my consciousness. And it was a process for me. I went through 5 stages of grief. That was really actually one of the more powerful awakenings for me, and it happened just before my urine therapy. That's what actually led me to urine therapy, was watching allegedly Dave on a European television program discussing the flat earth. So, and I don't care what people think. I don't push anything. I just live my life in the way that I live my life. I accept it. And I accept whatever anybody else chooses to believe. It's up to them. It's not up to me to decide what people think, ever. And we all have to just trust our own experience, whatever that is. Our experience is our own. Our thoughts, our philosophies, our ideologies, our beliefs, our conditioning. These are something that we take ownership of. And some of that ownership is really fierce. Some people really have a need to cling to that because they have so much invested in it. And that's why I went through the 5 stages of grief. I was really angry, quite frankly, I was. But when I got through all of those processes, I was really at peace. And when I got to that point, that's when I discovered urine therapy. And urine therapy I found to be a real truth serum, to put it in the simplest terms. Yeah, and I agree, Andrew. I don't. That's why I don't really. Andrew says the only bad thing about Eric is that he calls all his competitors shills like Matt. And I agree. This is why I don't participate primarily in much of the flat earth discussion, because it's just too much debate, and there's too much anger and resistance and bashing and all that, and I just don't have any I don't have any time for it. I don't have any time for hate. It just takes away from the real purpose of being here, which is to love ourselves and love others. That's what we're here to understand. We can look at many things, and I have, and I do. I pay attention to many things, but I don't take it personally, and I don't assume anything. And I strive to be impeccable with my word and maintain a high integrity about who I am being, how I present myself. Because, if I lie to myself, I'm going to lie to you, and I choose not to. We are all living in a lie of some fashion. Yeah, I'm not worried about it either. The earth could be the shape of a triangle. I said, hey, I've even posted images of it as a pyramid. And it really is, the biggest issue, and I do agree, with this perspective about that conversation, is the amount of money in the trillions that have been built to perpetuate a myth. And that is disturbing, because that investment could be made towards our betterment, improving our conditions, our infrastructures. I mean, so many things. So much money is being directed in a mythology. And so, from that point of view, I agree that it needs to be addressed. But again, just like the conversation about HAARP and the chemtrails and the G5 and electromagnetic waves and all these things, I recognize them. I do. I have a lot of knowledge about these things. I've done a lot of homework, a lot of research, but I don't dwell on it, because the urine therapy has helped me to recognize that I am a self-sustaining unit, that I can protect myself, that I can heal myself, that I can be more accountable to my own resource, and not be trapped in the enslavement And it is enslavement. Our indoctrination is an enslavement on purpose, by design, to keep us relatively separated and confused and battling amongst ourselves with indifference. And it works. I acknowledge that. I accept that. It's something that has been well crafted, and it works. And the only way we can elevate ourselves above that is a deeper understanding of who we actually are, who we're being, and what our responsibility is towards ourselves, the collective, and the higher consciousness that we would like to see. But you won't see it outside of yourself until you see it within yourself. It's just how it works. We can't give what we haven't got. So if we really want to be in an enlightened, awakened experience in the world we live in, that world is an inside job. It lives within us. It's where the source comes from, our universal mind and our spiritual beingness. We came in perfect. Completely. As we came out of the womb from the amniotic fluid, we were just soft and supple, beautiful, all-knowing, pure love beings. That's who we really are. And we've been embellished upon with all sorts of infringements, enslavements, and indoctrinations that have pushed us to the edge of our own appreciation. And I think that now, more than ever, is the time to awaken to our own gift, our own beauty, our own love, and allow ourselves to really accept the love that we are, who we are actually being, and forget the noise. It becomes static. It's white noise. And it's there by design to distract us and separate us and confuse us and keep us in a posture of argumentative stance. You know, a good defense always as opposed to a good offense. And without these elements, when you remove them from your experience, you'll discover that you decidedly hold the balance of wherever your peace of mind is. And with my experience, I realized that I want to hold that other end. I want to hold that end. In true Zen Buddhism, one thing doesn't exist without the other, and I recognize that. But in my deepest spiritual beingness, I recognize that love is the answer. And when you realize love is the answer, many questions just disappear. It doesn't become as confusing as it's imposed upon us to be. And we are being purposely confused. And it works. It does. It totally works. Just look around. If you can experience this within you, you'll recognize it outside of you. You'll see it everywhere. You'll see the love. You'll experience the love. And it's worthy. It's rewarding. Totally. I feel that the the biggest, most offensive bullies, people that push their agendas and impose their will, they need more love than you realize. They're more wounded than we recognize. And their inner child is deeply wounded and screaming for love. And even though it may look like what they're asking for is to be punched in the nose or slapped in the face, what they really actually want and need and desire in their deepest spiritual being is a hug. That's what they really want. They just don't recognize it because they've been so separated from their own experience of beingness, of who they actually are. And I recognize that. And I accept that as a part of the paradigm. I don't have the authority to impose my will or judge others. It's not a requirement as much as people assign themselves the authority and give themselves permission to judge others for their experience as they walk their path. I don't see that, not for myself, and everybody has to choose their own posture, and I don't choose weapons. If anything, my words might be considered that. Because I am a wordsmith, I can utilize that left brain logic, but I am well embodied with the woman inside me, and so I also celebrate the artistic and the sensitive empath that lives simultaneously within this body. I recognize both as a being who I really am. And so I have these left and right brain discussions. The conscious, subconscious mind, going at each other and stuff. I'm human. I'm not above anything, and I don't claim anything. I'm just a human in training, and I'm in the process. And every day I breathe gives me a new opportunity to remember who that really is. The love that is my spiritual being. And I know I have a lot of wounds, a lot. And I've carried those wounds as a banner of some kind that I felt I needed to prove something. And with that posture, I faced a lot of opposition, faced a lot of condensation, much sarcasm, and I involved myself in those games a lot. Not healthy. From my experience, my point of view, I don't think sarcasm is of service to anybody. I don't think being condescending and derogatory serves anyone. And it has more of a reflection on our own wounds than it does on the ones we're imposing it on. Always. We're defending ourselves, protecting ourselves by ensuing this particular path of logic. And I just can't entertain it anymore. I can't. I have. A long time. I entertained these techniques, these tactics, in order to prove myself, because I felt like I wasn't being heard, I wasn't being listened to, so I had to let my ego mind put itself on some kind of soapbox pulpit and prove my point. And when the point is moot, what is the point? And when we're pointing, we're usually pointing in the wrong direction. We're pointing at others as being the problem, when the problem really is us. And if we don't address our problem as a sincere search for our own solution to resolve this, we are the problem, in the simplest terms. And I say we collectively because I don't feel alone in this process. I recognize that we're all having our own struggles, our own awakenings, our own senses are being tested all the time. And there is no arrival. The path is a long one. It's all a journey, every step of the way. It's just a journey. And we either recognize the signs on the road or we don't. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead. I mean, I did post these, but I'm going to share it anyway. Because this one I wrote this just minutes before I had my meeting with the publisher, and I actually shared it with her. She was pretty amazed, and so I'm going to just share it with you now, if you don't mind. And it's called "I Must Defrag." Curves ahead on the road, heed the warning, shifting loads. No fair warning in the dark, dimming lights as fog embarks. Staying calm, time to snooze. A response I now choose. Miles before me, miles behind. I need to rest my cluttered mind. Too much data. I must defrag, clean the screen and wash the rags. This will pass. It always does. In this moment, I'm on pause. And that's how I posture myself. I gently remind myself that it's all a process. Always. It's just a process. And the more willing we are to accept the process and not try to figure it all out, like we have to have a resolve or an answer, answers come. Answers will arrive as we allow ourselves to accept the information. And the more that we be ourselves, the more that we stay in our hearts and reflect our inner perspective, our inner standing. And we trust that and allow that. It appears. We are not our problems. We are our solutions. As we trust and allow ourselves to experience and express these with our inner grace. We just need to embrace ourselves. If we can't embrace ourselves, who can we? We'll never trust anybody else if we don't trust our own selves. We just won't trust anybody. And that's kind of the sadness that I feel, you know, in this time of life, is that lack of trust, that lack of allowing. We really need to love ourselves. We need to love ourselves enough that we can embrace others as well. That's what we're here for. That's really what we're here for. To awaken to the love and not keep buying into the fear consciousness that is prevalent, and it's there being shoved in our face constantly, always, by every means possible, on purpose. And it's working. Just look around. You can see it in people's eyes. You can read it in their energy. You see it in their pallor. It's not hard to... good day, Anthony. Nice to see you, my friend. I love you so dearly. I really love you. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you very much. So, who are we going to be? You know, them or us. You know, that's the quandary. We focus too much outside ourselves of what is so, and all of that's an illusion, at best. In a grandiose form, it is the grand illusion. All truth lives within us. All goodness lives within us. All kindness lives within us. And unless we're willing to accept these gifts in our own experience, we'll never share them with others. We'll guard them. We'll protect them. We'll defend them. We'll fight for them. We'll argue about it. And continue the separation. And if we do, God help us all. Really, honestly. if we're not going to be present and accountable for ourselves, who are you waiting for? Who you think's going to come along and save you? I don't know. I stopped that. That was noise to me. Just total noise. I realized that I have the total responsibility. It's my responsibility to protect my wounded child and listen to my wounded child and allow that child to heal properly. My child's been really wounded, and I've struggled for a lifetime. I have been carrying those damaged goods around a long time. And I have not healed all of them by any imagination. No stretch of my imagination have I healed all these wounds. I just diligently awaken to them and work at them as they appear, because they do. They appear for everyone always. Trust that. The biggest monsters that we face live in our hearts and minds. It's not out there, it's inside. That's where the real monster lives. And I can be a monster. I can be a badass motherfucker and beat myself up like nobody else's business. I can goon myself on like anybody could possibly attempt to goon me. And I have done it repetitively, over and over, to the point of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, treating myself horribly. I've done it. I've spent a lifetime surfing that wave. And every time I thought I was going to hang 10, I would just crash into curl over and over relentlessly. And I really realized it just is not of service. It doesn't serve me, it doesn't serve others, and so why stay there? I just don't have any reason to stay in that place, but it's a long path, it's a long journey, and I'm willing to walk it one step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. And in my deepest heart, my greatest imagination, I trust that I will find the resolve. Man, I allow with patience that process to be. I don't have any intent to remain a wounded, damaged, good person for eternity. It's something I just process and work at one moment at a time. What else am I going to do? Who am I going to call? The Ghostbusters? I mean, we are our own ghosts. We are the ones. We are in a great space, Brother Cayce. This is what the water does. It breaks up all the calcified bullshit while the cream of who we are rises to the top. Embrace the sadness. Nothing to, I don't know, it says see more. Whoops. I can't see more. But thank you, Anthony. I so respect you and love you and honor you and appreciate your love. I do. Anthony, for those who may or may not know, he is the founder of the Water of Life Symposium. And I had the privilege of meeting Anthony last year, and we became friends. And I was honored to be a part of that experience at the Water Life Symposium. I met some of the most remarkable people I ever had imagined in my life. And we are all in this family, in this remarkable family. And I embrace them. I do. Every day. I thank them so much for just being a part of my life. And I welcome people to become a part of that family. It's an experience that is beyond knowledge. It's not about learning about drinking pee, although people bring a lot of information forth about that. It's really about the communion. It's about the love. And the symposium has its second annual event this year in September. It'll be held in Las Vegas at the Westgate Resort, and it's September 21st, 2nd, and 3rd. And it is only $35. My goodness, you know, it's not about the money. It's about the experience. And I encourage you to consider participating, becoming a part of that experience. It's so worthy. And all you need to do is go to wateroflifesymposium.com and register yourself, and you'll be glad you did. Once you make that investment of $35, no matter what the timing is, where you live, whatever, none of that will matter because you plant the seed of allowance. You'll just become a part of that expression and experience. It'll unfold and present itself effortlessly. You'll see. You'll realize. Totally. You'll just realize it, that you are unique, you are special, and you are welcome. Totally. And so I invite people to consider that in their calendar. And so yeah, I have some other guests that are coming forth besides Jordan, which I mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast. I've been really privileged with the Orin Oracles to have some of the most amazing people bring their gifts forward and share. And I'm so honored by the experience. The Orin Oracles has been a real journey, a real amazing journey. And so, again, Jordan Blakey's going to join me on Tuesday. And we talked for over an hour last night. He's just so amazing. He's gonna rock your world, trust me. He's amazing. And then the week after that, I have Monica Swift, who is the founder of Urine Therapy, another UT group. And she also has been around long enough to bring a lot of wisdom to this conversation. So I'm looking forward to her. And then after that is Brian Smith and Graham Hart. These are the two gentlemen in Ireland and the UK that so lovingly invited me to participate in their radio program, which was a real gift. And they've told me there's been many people that just started drinking their pee as a result of that broadcast, and they're just excited, they're jazzed, and so they're going to come and be my guest, and I look forward to welcoming them. And then yesterday, 2 days ago, I lined up Alana Love, who is also a very dear friend. She's going to come in mid-March, and she's been a practitioner of many modalities, urine therapy being one, but she brings an awful lot of light and a lot of experience to the table. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to have such amazing people willing to participate. It's very humbling, it really is. And so I say cheers to that. Yeah, life's good. It really is good. I hope your life is as beautiful as you imagine it. Really, I do. We all are gifts. We all have innate skill and talent and presence to bring forth. They may have been squashed Somebody may have stepped on them. Again, that goes back to the wounded child, where we're dissuaded from our enthusiasm by sarcasm and put-downs and condensation to squash our dreams. And that's really sad. I welcome people to share their gift. I think it's important, and acknowledge them for their willingness, their courage to share their gifts with us. And again, that's the whole purpose of creating the High Vibe Tribe. I want people to be able to feel safe, to share. It doesn't have to be about UT. You know, UT is certainly a central theme with the group, but it's not the it's not exclusive by any stretch. Not at all. As long as you're bringing your love. I do address anybody that brings a negative spirit, and I'll address them with respect and honor. I don't beat anybody up, but I remind people that the purpose of the group, it's stated in the opening comment in my introduction and welcome, that it is an open mic. I was telling Jordan a story last night and how this all really evolved. It goes back 20 years, back in '99 actually. I ran an open mic, and it was in Sedona, Arizona. And how it all came about is when I first moved there in '98, there was only one open mic available, and it was at the Oak Creek Brewery. And a really lovely man named Dale was the host, and he was like a virtual jukebox. This guy really had more covers up his sleeve than I could ever imagine. Anybody holding that much knowledge or information to perform, I mean, he was really marvelous. I really appreciated Dale very much. And so I'd been a performer and produced shows for quite a long time, so I was not, hesitant or anything. I like to perform, I do. And so I came and did stand-up. This is what I felt. That's what I felt like doing. So I did a stand-up routine. And it seemed well received by the audience. I felt comfortable. I felt it was all good. And so when I returned the following week, Dale pulled me aside as I was signing up, and he said, you can't, if you want to get up between acts, and do whatever, but you can't sign up to do that. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I chose to do poetry. And so I did. And the following week I came back, he pulled me aside again. And he said, again, you can't really sign up for that. And, your poetry is a little too spiritual. And I just like, what the fuck? Too spiritual in Sedona? Are you shitting me? And so I said, okay, fine. So the following week I came back and I had a posse. I had a flautist and a djembe player, and I was doing a kind of a spoken word beat poetry performance. And this performance contained a piece that I wrote a long time ago. It's called I Believe. And every time I do this performance piece, I preface it by noting that thoughts are random. And as we run through tens of thousands of thoughts a day, we organize them, and we can categorize them into all sorts of things, beliefs being one of them. And then you just get to a space of knowingness. And when we get to that place of knowingness, we just allow and trust for our own experience to be the prevalence of how we run our lives. So, with all that being said, I entitled this, I Believe. Now, the purpose of the piece and every single line of the whole piece begins with I believe. I believe this, I believe that. And the purpose of it is to really take a look at ourselves. And it pulls a lot of triggers. Just by design, I created it for that very purpose, just to allow ourselves to look at our belief systems and see what we're attached to. So I'm in the middle of this groove, digging it. The audience seemed to be digging it. We were just, we're rolling in this beat poetry thing. And right in the middle of the piece, the bartender shouts, I mean really shouts, from behind the bar. And she says, "That's it, you're done. Get off the stage now." And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And the crowd's going, what? And she said, "You heard me. You're done. Get off the stage right now. Now." And I went, really? Wow. I guess no Jack Kerouac here. And so with all that, I recognized I was pushing a lot of her buttons, and she couldn't handle it. That's what was so. And so this, after 3 rounds of this experience at what is supposedly an open mic, it wasn't an open mic at all, unless you're a folk singer or whatever. It was a closed mic with conditions. So I went to a friend, Kurt, who owned a venue called the Lizard Head Hall. And there were certain events going on there, like groovy waves or raves or whatever. I mean, different things. It was not very utilized. It sat empty most of the time. And so I went to Kurt and I said, "Kurt, there's a real problem here in this little town of Sedona, and it has to do with an open mic." And I just shared the story I shared with you, and I said, would you be open-minded to the possibility of me hosting an open mic here? And he goes, yeah, wow, cool, let's do this. And so I did. And as a result of that, didn't matter. I didn't care. It wasn't a limitation. It was an open invitation for people to come and share their gifts. And with that came amazing experiences, true awakenings, people that had never performed in front of anybody in their lives, coming forth and doing whatever, poetry, slam, music, came in all forms. It was just beautiful. And to watch them in the embrace of loving support, it was like watching butterflies come out of cocoons. It was really remarkable. It was really an amazing witness. And so the reason I'm telling you this story is why I designed the High Vibe Tribe. It's exactly why I designed it in that format. I don't want people to feel alienated. There's enough of that shit. People just feel so alienated and separated because they've been squashed. And enough of that shit. It's time for that paradigm to shift. And so I do what I do. And I do it as love. That's all I do this for. I commit a lot of time, and a lot of time for production, and a lot of time to publish and share. And it's not an ego stroke. I trust there's other wounded warriors out there. There's a lot of wounded people just like me. And you never know what's going to resonate. You never know what might spark somebody to awaken to their own potential, their own gift, and give them the safe space to show up, share their gift. And that's what really makes a tribe. Honor, respect, allowance, no condemnation. That's what makes a real tribe. It's all about the love. And I like the diversity of tribes. I do. Bringing all the tribes together in a unified force, without battle axes, without resentment, without hate, without opposition. Just bringing the love. Man, think how powerful that shit is. That shit's way, way more powerful than a police state, you know, or other fear-based ideas that we are being imposed with to keep us shivering in our boots. That shit's all an illusion. It's just bullshit. And people who buy that bullshit, well, they get what they get. That's all. They just get what they get. You want to have love? Be love. It's pretty simple stuff. It's not rocket science. But it takes courage, because we have to pull off the veil. We have to pull off the mask and accept who we are. Show up and be accountable. You know, embrace the 4 agreements, which I choose to use as an example. A beautiful little book written by Miguel Ruiz. And the 4 agreements in simple statement is: be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personal. Don't assume anything. And do the best you can. And with these simple practitionering ideas, we can turn our lives around in a major way, in a big way. So it's just something to consider. Everybody has to consider it on their own time, their own terms, accept or deny. It's just like when the incoming call, do you accept or decline? If God was calling you, would you answer? God is calling you. Just look within. You'll realize God is calling you. He's calling all of us. And we are. And the more we accept and receive that, the more we'll just give it away. It really just works like that. And you know what, Diana? I love you, darling. I love you very much. Diana's been a supportive friend from really the very beginning. Her and Angeline both showed up as early subscribers to my YouTube channel and just showed so much love, so much respect. And relentlessly, every video, everything that I did, they just showed me so much love and just so much support. And I just so appreciate it. I just appreciate it so much. Diana is a gift. And that pyramid that we have, that I've showed in videos, she made that. She makes these amazing, amazing pyramids. And she gifted me one, which I cherish. We display it here with nothing but respect and love and honor. And she also gifted me that telescopic cup that I use, that I also used in a video to show you how I pee on the go. And it works. It's a collapsible cup made of stainless steel. I never have to worry about rinsing it out because the pee is sterile. Why would I want to pollute it with tap water? That seems ridiculous. So anyway, I really thank y'all for just chilling and joining me this morning. I really consider it an honor to have you join me and just be a part of the Love Fest. And the Love Fest is on, and all you have to do is choose to participate and bring your love to the table. You will be received with honor and respect always. And so I don't know what else I got, but I love you all dearly. And if anybody has any questions, I certainly will. That's kind of the purpose of this, is just to address people's questions and answers. I'm just here. So if you have them, I welcome them. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And I hope you all have a beautiful, wonderful, marvelous day as always. I love you dearly. And I thank you for being you. Because nobody does a better job of being you than you. So celebrate that shit. And keep your peace together. And boom! Ha! You've just been loved. Okay? Bye now.